Hi everybody, happy Wednesday evening tutorial stream. How's everybody doing? Wherever you are tonight, I hope everyone is having a fantastic evening. Except for Heather, whose mask is stuck in her hair. Because her hair is just...
It's stuck in my earring.
Oh, her earring and her hair. Okay, sorry, hold please. Okay, so anyway, we're back. Having extricated Heather from her mask and her hair and her earring.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome. Sometimes you just need somebody to rescue you from, you know, everything on your body. So, welcome back to the Beading Dream stream. We are back to our normal streaming schedule this week. That means that this is the first tutorial of our entire week of streaming tutorials. We also are going to be streaming a live merchandise sale tonight at 7:30 p.m. Another one Saturday at 7:30 p.m. So we're pretty much on this regular streaming schedule until at least Christmas. That's funny, Lori. So tonight's project is a part one of a two-part tutorial. So we are doing this tonight. So this is part one of our stamped, sawn, and soldered. See, I bumped my camera. There we go. Our stamped, sawn, and soldered pendant tutorial. So this is the finished product. So what this is it is a basically sawn base, and I'm going to be using 24 gauge sheet metal for the base, and then I've got one sawn element. Now, of course, you can do multiple sawn elements if you want. I've got... See, the fun question is, I thought I had a casting somewhere down here in my stuff, and I don't see it, so I might have to run and grab a thing at some point. Oh no, or
it's right there.
It could be right here in front of my face. So yeah, so this shape is sawn out using a jeweler saw and a saw blade. This shape here is sawn out. These are all 20 gauge wire shapes that we're going to make tonight. We've got a bezel cup and a cabochon that's going to actually come into play tomorrow evening. And then we have a little casting that of course is optional. This is actually a pair of earrings from Nina Designs, who has the most adorable castings ever. They're a moon and a sun, so I used the moon earring for this one. I'm going to use the sun earring for the one that I'm doing tonight and tomorrow. So let's go ahead and talk real quick tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a shape. Okay, so I'm using this Hamsa that I am totally jacked from the internet. Alright, this is, I don't even remember where I stole this from. This is just a hand image that I stole from the internet. Obviously, I didn't replicate it exactly on my finished piece. I simplified it a lot, but this is the image with which I'm starting. So basically, you need an image for your outside shape, and then I printed 2 copies of it because I'm going to need one for the outside, and then I'm going to need one for that eye shape in the middle as well. And these are just literally printed off on regular computer paper with my printer. You're going to need sheet metal. So I've got 2 different colors of sheet metal. You don't have to use 2 different colors. I just think it looks interesting. So I'm going to be using bronze sheet metal 24 gauge for the back, for the base, for the big part of the hand. You could also use 22 gauge, and I'm going to be using 22 gauge sterling. You could also use 24 gauge for the eye part. So basically what I'm saying here is 22 or 24 gauge metal will work for this. It's whatever you happen to have on hand. So I'm currently using 24 gauge bronze, 22 gauge sterling, but either 22 or 24 will work for either portion of that. You're going to need some 20 gauge wire. I'm using sterling silver 20 gauge wire, again, because I kind of like this whole sterling and, okay, really chain, this whole sterling and bronze contrast that's going on here. So I've got sterling silver wire. You could use bronze wire. You could use copper wire. You could use 14 karat gold wire. Gold filled is not a great choice for this because there's a lot of heat you're going to have to put into this because of the size of the base, the backing plate. And so if you're using gold filled wire, you're gonna wind up with a lot of scorching. And so I would not recommend gold filled, but other than that, like any of your other metals, you know, sterling silver, brass, bronze, copper, 14 karat solid gold, if you're feeling spendy, any of those will work great. As far as tools go, you're going to need your pliers, round nose, chain nose, wire cutters, your regular, come here, there, sorry, they're under everything. Let go. Ah! Everything's in a tangle. So round nose pliers, those are the ones with the round pointy barrels that look like an ice cream cone. That's those guys, a really stabby ice cream cone. Chain nose pliers, those are the flat ones, and then wire cutters. Of course, you're going to need a jeweler saw with a 2/0 saw blade, and we'll talk about loading that saw blade in a little bit. You're going to need this tool. This is a bench pin. This tool right here, this is going to help you with your sawing. This is basically something upon which you will brace your metal so that you can saw it properly and not have it break your saw blade inordinately much. Now that being said, saw blades do break, and that's something, if you saw, that you just have to get used to. You are going to need a metal stamp of the letter I. Okay, that is actually what we're going to use to make this texture around our I. That would be I with an E. This is the letter I. Basically, it's just a straight line. Now, if you didn't like this sort of eyelashy, radiant sort of texture here, you could do anything. And that being said, it doesn't have to be a hamsa that you're making. Like, you can use any shape you want. So any kind of texturing stamp that you want is going to work great here. But if you want to replicate this project exactly, the letter I is what I use to do that. Yes, this broadcast is brought to you by the letter I. Hi, Sophia. Oh, how are you? I'm really scared to ask. How cold is it, Sophia, in northern Wisconsin? In addition to your pliers, your letter I stamp, your saw, you're also going to need some rubber cement. That's good old Elmer's rubber cement. And you may need some steel wool and some sandpaper. That just kind of depends on your edges and how rough they wind up. So we're going to start with sawing out our eye and our hand. Ah! Sorry. In northern Wisconsin, they have 6 inches of snow accumulation, and it is -9 degrees Fahrenheit. And this.
I'll be right there. We can cuddle.
No! Oh God, that's terrible. You don't want to go there. Nobody wants to go there.
I do though.
No. -9? No. I'm not letting Heather go.
I'm sweating to death.
Okay, that's fine, but you don't need to go to -9. You're literally, your sweat would freeze and then you would have hypothermia. That's not any better. She's not talking to me now.
I am.
Oh Lord. Yes, so I was just in Galveston with a bunch of my friends. It was delightful, and my father and my stepmother, my dad said it was going to be 10 degrees in Milwaukee when they landed. Sophia says she'll still take the cuddle. I still say that you are not allowed to go.
Okay.
Sophia, don't you have like a dog and possibly a husband? You don't need to steal my Heather. Freezing rain is the worst, so I will get on board with that because, ew, it's gross. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my little Hamsa templates. So I'm going to cut one out. That's the whole thing. That's what I'm going to do for the background, and then I'm also going to cut out just the eye. Ah! Well, that's not nice of the husband. At least the dog's not a jerk. Sophia said her husband hates her death hands. Sorry, but just because your hands feel like a corpse in the winter is not a reason to deny cuddles.
No, that's not fair.
Okay, so I've got that cut out, and then I'm going to cut out just the eye. Or I'm going to drop it on the floor. Be right back. Oh, was that food? Oh, well, that's not nice. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm very roughly cutting these out. It actually does work better if you have a little bit of paper around the actual shape, so don't cut it out super precisely. Alright, so now we're ready to... Well, at least you have your revenge for the not super nice name.
Right.
Alright, so now I'm going to take my rubber cement and rubber cement is great for this. Okay, and this is a fabulous trick for, hey Aso, this is a fabulous trick for sawing. And when I first saw, you know, a real jeweler doing this, I was like, that's how you do it. That's so awesome. And wow, you are such a cheater. And it's totally true. It's the most amazing trick. So rubber cement is great for sticking things onto metal and not leaving any residue. So I'm going to take my rubber cement and I'm just going to rubber cement all over this piece. And then I'm going to flip it over and stick it down to my metal, and I'm going to burnish it. Apparently I'm also going to get rubber cement all over my hands. And I'm just going to give it a minute to dry. And so literally I'm going to keep this paper on my metal and I'm going to cut around the outside of my hand. Now, could I just cut this hand with my shears? Because this is 20... Gee, Sophia, I'm so surprised. Heather, are you surprised that Sophia likes this design?
I had to hold on to the table so I wouldn't fall down.
Right, so Heather also not surprised, just apparently really dizzy. And I lost my earring again. I found it and now it's gone. That's exciting. Anyway, so yes, you could.
I don't think I can lose mine. It's permanently trapped in my hair.
Right? Yeah, well, my little... okay, well, hopefully it'll turn up when I need it, or it won't. But anyway, the joys of having a messy workspace. And by joys, I definitely mean air quote joys. So, I have no idea what I was going to say there. Oh, could I cut this out with my shears? Yes, but the benefit of using a saw is that you get a much more precise cut. And so once you get the hang of using a saw, which it's not the easiest thing, I'm not going to lie, but once you get used to it, it is fairly easy, and you can just get much more precise cuts. You've got much more facility for making detailed cuts, whether they be piercing, meaning an interior cut, or just exterior cuts. Saws really are well worth the practice it takes to get used to them. So I'm using a 2/0, that's 2/0 saw blade. So I've got my 2/0 saw blade loaded into the bottom of my saw. Now what I want to do is I need to load the top of my saw blade, but I need to put tension on it in order to make it work. So I'm just going to take my saw, I'm going to push it into my bench pin so that I'm compressing my saw frame. I'm going to lay my saw blade in between this little bit here at the top that's designed to hold it, and then I'm going to tighten this little nut. Apparently I'm going to whack my camera in the process, and then what should happen is I should be able to ooh, yeah, that was a fail. That's what I get for trying to do things on camera. Come on, take two. There we go. Also, inhaling your spit, not ideal, especially while in the middle of a broadcast. So, ideally what should happen after you've loaded your saw frame is you should be able to flick your saw blade and have a nice kind of high-pitched pinging sound come from it. So, saw blades are like guitar strings, violin strings. They don't work unless there's tension on them. So, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it on my bench pin. So my bench pin has this V slot. The point of the V slot is so that you can actually support your work from either side whilst you're sawing. I'm going to take my saw blade and I'm just going to start it. And I apparently whack everything while I'm doing this, but I'm just going to start my saw blade. And the key to getting your saw blade started, and actually the key to really working your saw blade well, is to not push forward. Okay, so I'm not pushing forward with my saw blade. I'm literally just thinking about making it move up and down, and apparently hit my camera every once in a while. So that's really the key to getting your saw blade to move well. So it will kind of move its way through the metal on its own. Now notice I'm supporting the metal on both sides. You can actually do that by reaching through the saw as well. I know the frame is so tight that it's hard to see, but my saw frame's back here, and so there are no teeth on this side of my saw blade. So my teeth on this side of my saw blade should be pointing downwards towards the handle, and they should be obviously facing outward. So loading your saw blade in the correct direction is very important. So teeth pointing outwards, teeth pointing down. So that means that back here there are no teeth. If you had a bandsaw ASO, you could absolutely use the bandsaw. I feel like for this thinness of metal, you might need some kind of a very delicate bandsaw, which I'm sure exists. Just a regular like shop bandsaw might be a little bit intense. And then you are going to, of course, need to get your fingers in there pretty tightly to manipulate the metal, so that just depends on how comfortable you are with your bandsaw. Alright. But yes, if you have a power saw, you absolutely could use it. Alright, so now I'm just going to start cutting, and notice I'm just cutting through the paper and the metal at the same time. And I'm just going to follow the outside line of my template. So a couple of things about sawing. Number one is the more of the blade you use, the faster you're gonna go. So you know, when people first learn to saw, there are a lot of beginners who will, you know, saw like this, and they'll just use like the you know, the very tiniest section in the center of the blade, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're gonna work really slowly. So the more of the blade you can utilize, the faster you're gonna go. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Don't push forward on the blade. Like if anything, you know, think about leading with the handle of the blade, which I can't get on camera. There, come here, face cam. Think about leading with the handle of the saw rather than the top of the saw, but really just think about, you know, straight up and down. That's really how you're going to get A, the best cut, and B, the most efficient movement. And just keep supporting your work from both sides, okay? Not just from one side, but from both sides. That's going to make a huge difference in how easy it is to cut. Also, yes, I realize I'm whacking my camera. Alright, if you're approaching a finger, make sure you realize that. Move it out of the way. This is a saw blade. It will cut you. That's a healing cut from me sawing myself a couple of weeks ago. Alright, when it's time to make a turn, just turn the metal. Just kind of tread the saw blade up and down and turn the metal to make that turn. Make sure you're always sitting in front of your bench pin like I am now. Again, beginners have a tendency to kind of like curl up and cuddle their bench pin. That's not going to give you the best position for sawing. You want to be straight in front of it. So when you got a sharp turn like this, again, just tread your saw up and down and move your metal. And then we're just going to continue sawing this until I've got my entire hand shape cut out. Alright, so again, here's another corner. So the important thing here is that you can't turn your blade while it's moving. You can't turn it and then try to move it. Like if I were to just turn this and then try and pull it, it's stuck. Okay, and then eventually what's going to happen is it's going to break. So you need to remember that you have to turn the metal. It's totally safe to get right up on the back of this saw blade because there are no teeth there. You want to make sure you keep it in the V slot so you can support it from both sides. Y'all get to watch my sawing face. Is it not exciting? Right? Yeah, this is, so yeah, if you go to get any kind of a degree that involves jewelry and art metals, sawing is the first thing that they're going to teach you, and they are going to make you do it and do it and do it until you are so sick of the sounds of saws and metal. Like, it really is a fundamental technique. Okay, so I'm getting to the end of my cut here. And then that is the sound of saw blades breaking that Sophia just illustrated in the Twitch chat. So yeah, so saw blades do break. It's a thing that happens. It's a thing that happens very often. They're very fine, as you can see. Now, the better you get at sawing, the less often you're gonna break saw blades, but it still happens. So don't feel bad when it happens. I am not gonna lie. I buy expensive saw blades, and I honest to Betsy think that they break less than the cheap ones. I may just be delusional, but I do buy the Rio Grande laser gold ones, and I think they last longer. That being said, like I said, I may be completely delusional, but either way, you know, the better you get at sawing, the fewer saw blades you're gonna break, but it still happens, and that like, peek! And then curse words following, trust me, is still very much a part of my daily fabrication life. Faux show. Okay, so I'm getting to the end of my cut. Here's the thing when you get to the end of your cut, is your saw blade, when it gets to the end of this, it's going to kind of jump forward a bit because it's going to have no resistance. So, you know, for most of your sawing, it's totally okay to have your fingers in this proportion or in this position relative to your saw blade, but as you get to the end of the cut, you really want to get them out of the way. You want to get your fingers out of the forward path of the saw blade. So I'm just gonna finish my cut, and okay, and I'm gonna stop smacking my camera. Really, camera, chill. And there we go. So it didn't do it so much that time, but it absolutely sometimes will just like leap forward. So this is my hand shape. that I cut out of my metal. Now oh my goodness.
Oh
Hey,
no!
Heather.
You're
Help.
trapped.
Gravity incident. Thank you.
Oh wait.
I had a very precarious tower of boxes and it just decided to fall over. You're not on camera. And Heather saved me because she's amazing. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and saw the now that Heather saved me from gravity. Now I'm gonna go ahead and saw the eye, and you can see this is actually totally the eye from my prototype right here. So I'm going to just take my eye that I cut out, and I'm gonna rubber cement it down into this little area of the metal. And this is sterling silver. This is 22 gauge sterling, but you could absolutely use 24 gauge, even 26 gauge if that's what you have, because this is getting soldered on top of your base, so it doesn't so much matter how thick this is. So if you've got 26 gauge sterling, that would also work. All right, I'm gonna rubber cement that and plop that down on there. I'm going to push it down. Push. And I'm going to give it a minute to dry because I do want that rubber cement to be dry. And while I'm waiting for that to dry, I am going to show you guys. So this piece that I rubber cemented down onto this piece of metal, this piece of paper, again, this is why we use rubber cement. I can't get it off. There we go. Is that I can literally take this paper. I don't really need this anymore because I'm going to do the rest of this freehand, but I can really I can take this paper and I can peel it off, and you'll notice that there's no sticky residue left on my metal. It's completely clean. So this is one reason that rubber cement is an ideal option for this, despite the fact that it's being a complete and total pain in the ass for me on the internet. Okay, but now we have our completely clean brass, or sorry, this one's bronze, right? And we're oh, goodness gracious. All right, so now this should be hopefully dry enough. Feels like it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to saw out this eye as well. Same saw blade, same 2/0 saw blade. Just a real quick talk about saw blades. So jewelers saw blades come in a variety of different sizes, and they start with just regular numbers. So let's just go ahead and say we start at 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Those are all descending in size. After you get below 0, then they start doing a number /0, which is called an aught. And so then the number before the /0 is going to get bigger, but the saw blade is going to continue to get smaller. So after 0, you've got 1/0, 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, etc. This is a 2/0 saw blade that I'm using now. That is my preferred saw blade. It's a really good. I came back, Corvus. Yes, I had a delightful vacation, and now I am back with you guys. I didn't miss you all terribly. Stay away. I like sawing hands and eyes. Well, Acer's not necessarily wrong about that. I mean, it's absolutely true. But yes, I have returned. I'm so glad to be back. I've missed you all terribly. We've got a sale this evening. I'm expecting hijinks, so do not disappoint me, y'all. Though there were hijinks this weekend. It was a very hijinky vacation. Quite a good time was had by all. So 2/0 saw blade is my favorite, just kind of all-purpose saw blade that I keep around. That's not true for everybody. That's literally just my opinion of like the range of metals that I work with. 2/0s are good if you're doing a lot of really fine cuts. Then you want to go smaller, 4/0, 5/0. If you're cutting, big, thick metal, then you want to go coarser, 1/0, 0, 1, 2. So Just bear in mind that there's a range, and you can play around with that range to see what works best for you. Okay, so now I'm going to saw out this eye. The eye of... I dropped it on the floor. I was about to make a quip, and then gravity had other ideas. This is what I get for, you know, trying to be clever. Okay, so now I'm going to saw out this eye. And again, this is 22 gauge sterling silver, so this is a little bit thicker than what I was just sawing, and my 2/0 should still work just fine. Okay, so again, I've got a sharp turn, so I'm just going to kind of tread my saw blade up and down as I make that turn. And then I'm going to ignore all of these little round bits on the top, and I'm just going to go across the top and down. Okay, so this is one of those parts where once it starts to separate from the metal, you definitely want to make sure you're supporting it. The more you support it, the easier it's going to be to finish your saw. Alright, so there we go. Now, this one, I'm not going to take the paper off, okay? So I'm going to leave the paper on this eye. Look, the eyes have it. Eyes! Okay, so now let's go ahead and we're going to texture this. So I'm going to move this to my workspace rather than my bench pin, which I finally figured out how to attach my bench pin to my counter here in this streaming area so it doesn't move around, which is pretty fantastic. Okay, so I have my letter I stamp that literally is from my letters, my 3mm letter stamp set, the letter I, and I've got a household hammer. In this case, I've actually got a big ass brass hammer, but anyway, so I've got my I that I sawed out. I didn't take my paper off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally take my letter I and I'm going to set it on one of these lines that's drawn on my template, and I'm going to hit it. And what that's going to do is it's going to make an impression in my metal, and I'm just going to do that all the way around. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to deviate from this template, because that would be a rotten lie. Definitely going to lose my place at some point and deviate from this template. One of the things I love about this is the handmade look of it. That's what I tell myself, because I really can't. I'm not a very precise stamper. I never have been. Also, part of this, to be fair, is I'm trying not to whack my camera, which obviously I failed at just then. And then okay, so we'll see how well I did. Alright, so then now that I've done my texturing, I can go ahead and peel this off, and what I have is slightly wonky. Very wonky. That's okay. I don't mind wonky. I feel like I need maybe one more there and one more there. So Corvus, what that's called is either antiquing or patina. Either one is correct. Hey Amy, how are you? So there are a couple of ways that you can do that. Now, since I'm gonna solder this tomorrow night, there's absolutely no point at all to me doing any kind of patina now, because between the flame, the heat, and the pickle, it's all gonna get burned away. But Once I'm done, so once I'm at this stage where everything is polished, and obviously I could have, you know, polished this a little bit more, but time is time and whatnot. There are a couple ways you can do that. Way number one is you can dunk this whole thing in liver of sulfur, which is a patina that will turn your brass dark or bronze dark gray, and it'll turn your silver black. And then you can use steel wool to polish up all of your raised surfaces. The problem on a piece like this is what that's going to do is it's going to give you, you're going to wind up usually with black shadows around all of your wires because it's really hard to get in there and polish off that patina. So what I would do on a piece like this, if you just wanted, say, the rays on the eye to be black, is I would literally take a permanent marker like a Sharpie, and I would color everything black and, you know, color all the way down. So make sure you get all the way down into those stamped bits, color in black, and then just take some rubbing alcohol and you can rub that black marker off of the surface, and that is the easiest, quick and dirty way to patina things. Okay, so now we have our eye that we have cut. We have our hand that we have cut. So the last thing that I need to cut, if I can't find that stupid earring, is I need to do all of these cute little wire things. So I basically need 3 pieces of wire to define the hand, or the fingers of the hand, and then I need a couple pieces of wire for my little spiral embellishments. So I'm going to start with these on the top. I'm going to cut myself 3 2-inch pieces of wire, and then cut myself 4 1.5-inch pieces of wire. And again, that is 20 gauge sterling silver wire that I am using. So 2 inches times 3. Not the scissors, the wire cutter. I like that, Corvus. Thank you for calling me dangerous. So 3 2-inch, 4 times 1.5 inch. It means I'm doing my job right. Two, 3, and one more makes 4. Okay, so again, I love this is the saw frame that I got when I first learned how to saw, which was in Chicago in like 2004 or 2005. So this saw and I think have had a longer relationship than I have ever had with a man. Just saying.
That's longer than our relationship too.
It is, it's true. So yeah, one of my longest relationships in my life might be with this saw. We're gonna go with that's not pathetic.
It's not. It's an important part of your life.
So,
but that also makes me feel a little bit better about my sawing ability. That one just really likes you.
Oh, the fact that I've had that long of a relationship.
Yes.
With that saw, yes, that's fair. Okay, so now we're gonna figure out which thing I need to screw to tighten this down. Alright, so now I'm gonna take my wire and I'm gonna start making these shapes. So where is my camera focused? Oh, mostly where I need it to be. That's super exciting. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the 2-inch pieces. Again, those are going to be these kind of center finger pieces. So I'm going to find the middle and I'm just going to use the fattest part of my round nose pliers to bend those like so. And what I want is I just want to make sure that that, you know, creates what I want it to do as far as like a, you know, proportions of sort of a finger-like definition, and it does. I just want to make sure that these edges are straight instead of pointing inward like they were just a second ago. So there's that. So I'm going to repeat that 3 times. If you needed a fatter end, you could obviously use either bail making pliers, a dowel, you know, something that's a little bit bigger than your round nose, but the end of my round nose is pretty much perfect for this. That's not what I wanted to do. Straighten it out. go. That's 2. And one more is 3. Cool. And then as far as like the shaping of this goes, so my center one I want to be even. My side ones actually just proportionally I like to be a little bit longer on one side than the other. That means I do have a right side and a wrong side. So I feel like this is probably good right here. So I'm going to use this as a model to cut this one. Because on a project like this, it's more important, of course, that the things look alike than that they are necessarily measured in any way. So I've got those 2. So those are going to be my 2 outside little finger bits. And then my center one, I just want in the middle. So yes, Corvus. So I'm using a mixture of metals that can be soldered on this hand. So what I'm using on this project is sterling silver for the wire and the eye here, and then bronze for the base. But you could really do this with any combination of sterling silver, brass, bronze, copper, or 14 karat gold. The only metal that's common in the beading world that's not going to work very well with this project is going to be gold filled, because you are going to have to put a lot of heat into it, and that's going to scorch off your gold. Okay, so here is, sorry, so there are my little finger pieces. I'm going to need to straighten that out, but I can do that tomorrow night. This is exciting because every time I look up the camera, I tilt my hand and then I drop everything. So this is ideally going to go, come on. This is going to go here, like so. So then I want to make 2 little spirals for my 2 ends of my hand, and then I'm going to put my little earring casting down here at the bottom. I just want to do two little decorative bits that are going to go next to it. Now, if I were a smart person, I would have put that earring finding somewhere I, could see it. But no. It was right in front of me, and then I touched it. And this, people, is the problem with pretty much everything in my life, is I touched it, and now I can't find it. Well, hey, Crazy Man Sage, welcome to the stream. So, we do all, seriously, y'all, what the heck? We do all kinds of beading here on the Beading Dream stream. So tonight is actually a preparatory tutorial for a soldering stream that's going to be tomorrow night. So tonight we're not using any beads at all, and apparently tonight we're not using any castings at all because Allison lost them. So I'll try and fix that by tomorrow's tutorial. But so we're actually using sheet metal, 24 gauge and 22 gauge, and wire to make this soldered pendant. So tonight's the prep class, and then tomorrow at 6 p.m. is going to be the actual soldering tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and use, I've got my 4 pieces at 1.5 inches. I'm going to use those to make those decorative spirals that are going to go on here. And I'm going to lay this all out, and then I'm going to endeavor not to pick it up so that you all can, kind of see how it's supposed to look. I'm having thoughts about these right here. I think they're too long because they're pushing that eye down. So I'm just going to take a second and I'm going to trim a little bit. I'm going to trim those off. Okay, seriously, it's like legit driving me bonkers that I don't know what the heck I did with that earring piece that was right in front of me like 5 seconds ago. Okay, it was like 20 minutes ago, but still, I haven't moved. I have not moved from this spot. And yet, I've managed to misplace the thing. What the heck? Though, I think one of my favorite memes about beading and crafting in general is the one that says, the act of beading is, 50% creativity and 50% looking for that thing that you just had a minute ago. Definitely feel like that's my life. Go, 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 go. Okay, so let's talk about finishing edges for just a second before I go into making those spirals and whacking my camera for the 7,000th time this evening. So, you are definitely gonna feel, okay, but I like the proportions of that much better. You're definitely gonna feel that the edges on this piece are rough. So I'm gonna go ahead and, right, Corvus, not just beading, all the crafts are looking for where did that one thing, my whole life, that Heather's not wrong, is looking for where did that one thing go that I had just a second ago and I need, but now I can't find it. So anyway, the edges of this are going to be pretty rough at this point, which is not a huge deal. I'm going to go ahead and use steel wool is the word I'm looking for. I'm going to use steel wool to finish this after I've soldered and pickled it. So don't be super concerned at this point over the fact that it doesn't feel like it would be the most comfortable thing to wear, because it's not gonna feel like that at this point, and that's totally fine. Okay, so now we're gonna go to making spirals. So we're gonna start with these spirals, and this is one of my favorite kinds of spirals to make, actually, because it's just fun. So I'm gonna take my round nose pliers, I'm gonna grab the end of my wire, and I'm gonna start by rotating a loop. I'm going to continue to rotate my spiral, and there are two ways you can do this. Number one is the way I do it, because I'm too lazy to put down my pliers, which means I'm just going to pull this around to continue to make a spiral that's a little bit open. But if you don't want to do that, you can take your chain nose pliers, like if you want to be a little more precise about it, you can actually hold that loop that you made, like so, and then you can pull this around. And that, I'm not gonna lie, that does oftentimes, especially if you're a beginner, make you a prettier spiral than what I just suggested first. Again, it's just a question of the fact that I am a lazy bum. I don't always like to put down my pliers. Once you've gone around, that's about one and a half times, you're gonna take your round nose or your chain nose, doesn't really matter which one, you're gonna grab, and you're just gonna push. And what that's going to do is that's going to make this point in your spiral, just like that. Then you can just hold that, give it a nice easy bend, and that gives you your little pointed spiral. That is going to go right there. And then I'm going to just take my end and I'm going to roll it round like so. And yes, Aso makes a good point. So after this tutorial, about 30 minutes after this tutorial, so it's probably going to be around 7:45 this evening, we are going to be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, with a live merchandise sale. We've got 8-inch gemstone strands for y'all tonight. You know that that's always a popular category because the prices are awesome on the 8-inch gemstone strands, and there's some really cool stuff in there. So yes, 8-inch gemstone strands coming at you live on twitch.tv/Beading Dream about 30 minutes after this tutorial ends, because I'm going to take a little bit of time to throw some pizza in my face, and then we'll be back, and it's going to be loads of fun. I haven't been online for almost a week, so it's pretty much guaranteed to get wacky on the sale. So yeah, definitely stick around or come back after the tutorial, because it's going to be a really good time. Okay, so now I've got my two little pointy spiral bits. Those are going to get soldered there. Alright, and then I'm just going to do my last two from the bottom, and then I'm going to be done for tonight. So things that are going to get added to this tomorrow night when I do the soldering is going to be the bezel cup and the cabochon, which is here, and then I swear to God I'm going to find that stupid earring or some other random casting that's going to go here at the bottom. Now that's optional. That can be whatever you want. It could be another stone. It doesn't have to exist. It could be a piece of wire. It could be nothing. You could punch a hole there. You could hang a bead from it, but that's stupid earring was just here, so I swear I'm going to find it. I'm going to solder it down onto this pendant.
You tell it.
I am telling it.
I
Corvus says just don't look for it and it will appear. Corvus is probably not wrong. Alright, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some basic double-ended spirals. Super, super easy. Just like what I just did. Yes, that's way too many justs for one sentence, but same procedure as what I just did. Asa, why do I feel like you're making fun of me? Except for no point. So I'm just going to turn my loop, and then I can use my chain nose to hold, and I can continue making my spiral. Like so. Until I have just a little bit of wire left, and then I'm going to spiral it, in this case, back the other direction. So the ones I just did, I spiraled in the same direction. So they're kind of like coming together like a reel-to-reel tape deck. This one I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Like so. That's going to go there. And then one more. Ah, thank you. Yes, I did post. So yeah, so anybody who's newish to the stream doesn't know, but I abandoned everybody last week to go to Dickens on the Strand in Galveston. Had a great time. Me and 40 of my closest friends dressing up and having fun. I did post some pics on Discord. If you're not on our Discord, we highly encourage you to join. There's lots of fun and hijinks that happens over there. Just type !Discord into the Twitch chat, just like Heather just did. Okay, apparently just is my word. And Corvus. Apparently just is my word for the night. So we're not going to make that a drink on tonight's stream, otherwise we're all going to die. But yes, and I haven't yet shared, I shared my Saturday pictures. I haven't yet shared my Saturday dinner pictures or my Steampunk Sunday pictures, but it was definitely a really good time. Okay, so, oh, poor Moobot. Alright, so that is phase 1 of my stamped, sawn, and soldered pendant. So sawn, of course, is your shapes, stamped is your texture, and soldered is going to happen tomorrow evening on our Torch Thursday stream. So, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Beading Dreams stream this evening for part 1 of this, our stamped, sawn, and soldered pendant. We are, of course, on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, now that I am done with my vacationing foolishness. Yeah. 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We are here Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, plus Thursdays at noon. With live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday night after the tutorial between 7:30 and 7:45. Tomorrow at noon we are going to be doing a basic wire ring. It's been a minute since we did this, so anybody who's looking for easy peasy Christmas presents, this is a really good one. So basic wire rings is happening tomorrow at noon. That's going to be a fun, fairly short 20-30 minute tutorial. And then tomorrow evening is Torch Thursday, and I'm going to finish, I'm actually going to solder together and finish the pendant that I started today. So, for anybody out there who doesn't know me, I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. Yes, we are here in Dallas, Texas on Lover's Lane, and we are here to feed your need to bead 6 days a week. We're here Monday through Saturday. Apparently, we don't know righty tighty lefty loosey here at Beading Dreams. There we go. Yeah, we're here to feed your need to bead Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Of course, if you are not local in Dallas, we're on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, with those complimentary tutorials Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 6 p.m., Thursdays at noon, and live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday evening at 7:30 p.m. So I am about to go stuff my face with a little bit of pizza and get some stuff together for the sale. We'll be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, with 8-inch gemstone strands. Don't miss out. This is going to be a fun sale, so we'll see y'all back on this channel in just about 30 minutes. Alright, everyone take care. Don't forget, get a snack, get a drink, get some hydration, put your bead buying pants on, get comfy, get cozy, and get ready for some retail therapy in the comfort of your living room, office, or from wherever you watch the Beading Dreams stream. Alright, we'll see you in just a few. Bye.